Hello, me hearties. A very good evening to you. It's just me, Scottie McClue. Welcome, 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 I say, to our Saturday Night Live. 9 o'clock is the time. 9 o'clock on the 8th of February, 2025. See, nothing gets past me. I can tell you that for nothing. So I hope you're out there and ready to do business big style. Come on and tell us when you're watching. Pop something into the chat, something polite, of course, because anybody trying any silly nonsense, and it's a lifetime ban. There we go. But I don't think we'll have any of that here. I can tell you there's Amy has joined us, and a very warm welcome, Amy. Lovely to have you with us, and a big dinky-do to you. There we go. I tell you, everybody will be getting their notifications to say that Scottie McClue's live, and share this. Tell 10 to tell 10 to tell 10 to tell 10. Say, the big man is live from Scotland to the world. Oh, my goodness me. The Gulf of America, I tell you, Melinda Dinky-Doo. Yes, indeed. I think England should be called Scotland. I think we need a good dose of Donald Trump over here. And I was actually working out, should Scotland sell out to America? And we're even looking at prices. We bring in about 75 billion. And I was suggesting, should we change hands for 750 billion? But that's too short. I was thinking about it today and I was looking at figures. I thought, no, maybe 7.5 trillion. All that kind of carry on. Love you to pieces, says Melinda. Dinky-Doo, Melinda. Tuts for Hay says, good evening, Scotland. John Doe says, all present and correct, sir. We salute you, John Doe. I tell you, there we are. It can't be any worse than the SNP, says Amy. Now, Amy, that's very harsh on the SNP. They've done a pretty wonderful job for what, about 17 years? And would you rather have a Labour or Tory government in Scotland? So you shouldn't really slag off the reigning party. The only thing is, I heard them going on about net zero and all that stuff. That's never going to work out. That's going to take us down the wrong road. Scotland is falling down with oil, gas, coal, peat, wind, wave, solar. Do you know, well, solar, I might be pushing it a bit there, actually, I think. But no. I think it's very important. We just need to bring the present party screaming into the 21st century. But I think that if you were run from America, would you not be delighted? I mean, look at towns like Greenock and Paisley and Gourock and Kilmarnock and Ayr, all getting rebuilt and redone, and fish brought back in, oil brought back in. There we go. Have they lifted the hate crime law yet? In America, do you mean, or over here? See, America's actually dominating the politics at the moment. Everybody's chatting there. There's Susan and Tups for here having a wee chat. Lovely, lovely. We like that. I can tell you. We might go on another platform as well simultaneously. But I wanted to see who's joining us here first. The platform is growing beautifully. We've just touched 36,000 subscribers and 1 million viewers in 4 weeks, 28 days. So I was pretty chuffed with that. But we need to get the big numbers coming on the lives. So anything you can do to share, spread the word, all that stuff, because this casts beautifully to the big screen, to the television. And I noticed it last week. I don't normally watch myself or listen back because we've done it. So the last time I seriously watched myself was probably 1985. But I had a look last week just to see how the camera and the mic and everything's performing. And I was pretty chuffed, I can tell you, when you think of what we used to do before. Do you have any plans to interview? Oh, it's just taking it out. I'll tell you, it was to interview an actor, I think. If you open it up to other platforms, Scottie, can I get the golden number so I can still get through to chat? That's right here. You can always come through to chat. You are the golden number. We love you on here. You know, absolutely. And Susan was just saying, what a great call you are. And I haven't had any complaints at all. I can tell you. So there were. So Martin, what were you saying when you panicked and retracted your message? There we go. Do tell us what is what I say to you. There we go. And we'll maybe get a wee chat with Numpty now. Rules, of course, no second names, no names of individuals, no businesses, no pack drill. If you've got a drink with you, it can be any sort of drink that suits you. Mine is Scottish water, aqua, Adam's ale, and we have from time to time we do this. Ooh, that's bliss. Now that is a general sup. Just in case you thought General Sup was a serious army officer, that's a General Sup. So if we shout General Sup, then everybody gets a drink of tea. Now you can also have a drink of whatever they've got. I've got my trusty tea here. Tops here says General Sup imbibed as required. So there you go. We love that. We absolutely love that. How fantastic is that? And a big dinky-doo, I say to you. So join us for a general sup as well. Very, very important. Now, I've got itching here the other platform wanted to join us. We'll call them in and see what's what, I say to you. So there we go. See if they want to join us as well. How amazing is that? And they're joining us right now. DINKY-DOO, lovely to have you all with us, and a very, very warm welcome to Scottie McCLUE Live this Saturday night. Come and join us and give us all the chit-chat as well. So there we go. That's us, Tops for here. We're also on the big one. We like this. This is what we can do. Now, let me know if there's any degradation at all in what you can see in picture quality or in sound or anything like that, because we've now got a lot more bandwidth. And I thought that was very important as well. So you could join with the bandwidth. I'll tell you what I noticed today. YouTube looks and sounds absolutely fine. Thanks, Tops for here. Literally perfect, says the wonderful Melinda. Melinda, bless you, I say. How lovely to have you with us. Get sharing, guys, and tell 10 to tell 10 to tell 10. Most of you will have already joined us, and that's what it's all about, I say. Tell 10 to tell 10 to tell 10. Now, I noticed there was a plethora of football on the television today. And sometimes I look at it, and I don't know if I'm doing this right, and I think, oh, there's all football on tonight. I'll maybe not bother going live. Is that silly of me? Should we just ignore what other entertainment is out there? Mind you, that's me calling myself entertainment. Perhaps that's quite a loose term. Fantastic. If you've just joined us, a very, very warm welcome. You're watching Scottie McCLUE, and we are live on the big one. Now, who else have we got here? And Tops for here, what we'll do later, we'll see how all this pans out. It looks pretty good. There's Leloup de Mer. Leloup de Mer says, DINKY-DOO, DINKY-DOO, Leloup de Mer. How lovely to have you with us, and welcome. Hello, Scottie for Bells Hill. Colin, lovely to have you with us from Bells Hill, I can tell you. That's what it's all about. And thank you very much for all your kindness. Not everyone likes football. Well, I don't dislike football, but I don't watch it. And I don't know anything about it, Susan. So if you knew nothing about football, I would know marginally or maybe considerably less. Hi, Scottie from Bonnybridge in Scotland. We love you in Bonnybridge in Scotland, I can tell you. Red Rose, says Andy, Red Rose Radio. Hello from Indiana. We love it, Mr. Stockton in Indiana. The therapist said it's normal to have inappropriate thoughts, says Roderick. I don't think so, Roderick. Mr. McClure, is there a monument for the Jacobite rebellion in Scotland? Well, Leon, Firstly, it's not a rebellion. There were two risings, one in 1715 and one in 1745. So we weren't rebelling, we were under attack in Scotland. And there is a monument at Glenfinnan, and there are monuments on the field of battle at Culloden in 1746. So there you are, I can tell you. Now then, Kirkcaldy in Fife, Ken. Fantastic. So although not everyone likes football, there may be quite a number of people watching it because there's nothing else on. And it's quite, no disrespect to people that watch football, but it's quite mindless. You know, it's just 22 guys booting a ball either up one end or up the other end, if you'll pardon the expression. So it's fairly mindless. You don't have to be brain of Britain to watch football. Grit and Zeal Records, still the top broadcaster, Scottie. I have a question. Do you know why the unicorn is Scotland's national animal? I think it was because they couldn't get the unicorn to go onto Noah's Ark. Is there a connection there? Do you know where Lennoxtown is? I know it very, very well, Zach. I can remember Lennox Castle. And I know Fintry. Yes, indeed. And what else have we got there? Killern. All that sort of stuff. But yes, I know Lennoxtown very well indeed. There we go. And what else? You got Strathblane. Rugby's the best. I like rugby. I understand rugby. Up the Camp says. Well, do you know, people used to go up the Camp says to listen to SCOTTIE McCLUE. I tell you, you're back in your live stream all the way from the Crask Inn. Shane, we're all falling in love with the Crask Inn. I tell you. There we are. You got a good mention worldwide there. Hello, Scottie from St. Helens, sending our love. Mr. Nevermind, thank you very much for that. And love to St. Helens. Who was the guy on night radio? Bob said, well, I was on night radio. And then Bob took over when I went on to days. I tell you. Hello from Chicago, Liberation Dreams. We're loving you in Chicago. And the UK is becoming very pro-America. We're wondering if you'd like Scotland as another state. So there we are. How beautiful it is, McClue, my brother. I tell you. And there we go. I heard the unicorn was kicked off the ark because they kept poking the elephants and causing all sorts of mischief. Well, just because they've got the horn, you see. I am Scotland, says CTXG. Excellent, you Scots. We like that. Hello from Finland, says Maru. Aye, let's link with the USA. Well, no, I was hoping they might buy Scotland because there was talk of buying Scotland from Westminster. And I thought, no, 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 no. Scotland is not Westminster's to sell. That's the problem. So we need to jump in there very quickly. You can't buy Scotland, man. Well, you can buy anything if the price is right. And I was suggesting we earn 75 billion a year and give it all away to Westminster, and they fritter it. And what I was thinking is we keep our money and we sell out for 10 times earnings, but that would only be 750 billion. That would be selling Scotland short. So I then thought, what about 7.5 trillion, just as a ballpark figure? Scotland never was conquered. Well, no, Scotland's always been the conquerors, and William the Conqueror never got up here. I am not a sellout. You can't buy me. Of course we can buy you, CTXJ. You probably sold out to a dozen people already. So there you go. Everybody sells out. I think we sell out when we're born. So there we go. I can't tell you. Who else have we got? Scotland submitted to England. Well, Scotland didn't submit to England, but at that time the aristocrats were in charge, and Queen Anne managed to bribe them. So it was jiggery pokery, I can tell you. I love you, Scottie. Can you give a shout out to Geordie, please? Yes, I can. There we go. No problem at all. I bet you recite a brilliant Rabbi Bums poem. Well, have a look. You'll see it. We did one just at Bums Night there on the 25th of January. I ain't no one bought or sold me, says CTXJ. Let's get that straight. Well, you might be surprised, CTXJ. I can tell you. Do you make payments? There we go. People buy and sellers. Scotland haven't paid their reparations for slavery. QWERTY, there's nothing due for slavery. Scotland led the world in ending slavery. Everybody wants to give Scotland money. And if there's any reparations money, it should come from Westminster to Scotland to repair the castles that were damaged by the English army during the time of the risings, likes of Linlithgow. Linlithgow was sacked the night before Culloden. So we need to rebuild that. So there's your reparations, I tell you. Scotland doesn't owe any money in reparations, but the UK should pay reparations to Scotland. I say I forgive them, for they know not what they do. Good one, CTXJ. A fine biblical quote. We like that. That is excellent stuff. Now, who else have we got here? Wonderful stuff. Let me see, and I'll read out your stuff. So what do you think about Donald Trump? We love Donald Trump in Scotland. Absolutely fantastic. And I love what he's doing. We could do with that over here. So there we are. I might suggest that to the First Minister and say, every politician, every leader, take a leaf out of Donald Trump's book and get the money back to the people. I do love Trump. He's being pure Christian. He is a pure Christian, and he's bringing it back. And somebody today saying that religion's a problem in the world. Religion's not a problem in the world. A lack of knowledge and understanding of religion might be a problem in the world. There we are. Howard Siebel, what we'll have to do with you, La, is just dump you, because we don't have that kind of behavior on here. So there we are. So we'll have to say bye. There he goes. That's the end of that one. Guys, if you're coming on, let's be totally respectful, We run a good ship here. Great what he did, signing the bill to protect women's sports. Absolutely, Amy. All these things. Yes, indeed. I like the speed he's moving at as well. There we are. Erin Gobra. Absolutely, crew guy. Kamraharu Hakama. We're all in this together. We are CTXJ, although the last party that used that as their slogan were certainly far from in it together. I can tell you. Be ladies and gentlemen, says Emerald. Yes, indeed. Called the Brotherhood of Man. Well, that's your Rabbi Mums for you, CTXJ. I tell you. Love you, Scottie. Can you shout me out? The dog father, I can shout you out. Shout out my good friend who's 65 today. So there we are. Wow. So there we are. A good shout out to Pat. 65 today. Can I get a shout out? Of course you can, the Jazz. That's what it's about. We do these things not because they're easy, but because they're hard. Of course. Le Loup de Mer, correct? Scotland, yes, oui, monsieur. Glasgow was made on the back of slavery. No, QWERTY, we controlled the tobacco industry, and I know that there was a bit of slavery going on, but you could say the same about Bristol, you could say the same about Edinburgh, you could say the same about any of the cities in this country, but we put a stop to it. So there we are. So I think we don't need to be guilt-tripped by the likes of you. I can tell you. A shout out to Jesus. We should always be doing a shout out to Jesus. It's called a prayer, right? Dear Lord, do we always have to bang on about the past, live in the now? Absolutely, CTXA, apart from, as I say, reparations for Linlithgow Palace. Apart from that, no problem at all. Now then, who else have we got? There's Peter, DINKY-DOO, Peter. What about the brutal clearances? Yes, we could do with a bit of reparations for that. The only thing is it took a lot of people off to Australia and Canada, and I think they probably had quite a good life. Greetings from Manofield, fit like loon. Fit like. For sure, does loon. Manofield, for a grand part of the world that is. Oh, and the hooses. Oh, talk about bra. Oh, and the woodwork, the pine. I can. You mentioned earlier something about building more stuff in Scotland. Do you think a pier in Scottish towns like Ayr would work? Or do we not have the weather for it, Amy? Now, you might not know the history of Ayr, but Ayr Harbour regularly, what an absolute treat when we had the Clyde steamers. And the Duchess of Hamilton would go down from Gurrock to Ayr Harbour, and then she would do round Arran tours. Or she would take people to Campbelltown, just across the water, but a good 150 miles from Glasgow. It's 151, is it? So there we are, 65th, I tell you. So yes, a pier anywhere would work, but they're expensive. A lot of them have fallen into disrepair because they're about 150 years old now, I would say. Would that be fair? Yeah, the bulk of your piers will be about 150 years old at the height of Victoriana and all the Clyde steamers, steam-fired paddle steamers and then steam turbine. Beautiful things. And we don't have that. We don't have that kind of quality in Scotland now. So maybe we should have reparations for that. But like the big houses, the First World War took its toll, then the Second World War took its toll. And that's your problems there, I can tell you. Who else have we got here? Yes, good evening from Sweden. Lars, how lovely to have you with us. The Jazz says, can I have a shout out? You got one. Hello from Costa del Dunoon. Now, Crawford, you've got a lovely pier in Dunoon. And does the Waverley still call at Dunoon? Scotland doesn't have a proper pier like Blackpool or Brighton's, just small ones. Well, no, Amy, we had some very big ones. I mean, you've got a big pier at Ayr. You've got a big pier at Ardrossan. You've got a big pier. You had a huge pier at Gurrock because the railway was extended in the 1880s. So you had a huge pier at Gurrock. You had a huge pier at Weems Bay. Huge pier at Rothsay, huge pier at Dunoon, huge pier at Enellan. You had a huge pier at Tinnabruch. You had a huge pier at Tarbert, 2 piers. You had one at West Loch Tarbert, the West Loch Pier, and you had the Columba Pier, I think it was called, in the East Loch in Tarbert, where the boat used to go up the Loch Fyne in my day. It used to go up to Tarbert. So there you go. And I think even latterly, when Caledonian Steam Packet Company got together with David McBrain, 1928 Limited, brackets, close brackets, I think that even the maids, there was 4 little maids were built in 1953 at different builders. And where they built, one was built at Ailsa Shipbuilding, one was built at Denny Dumbarton, one was built at A&G Ingalls at Point House, and was the other one built? She built at Harland and Wolff. Can't remember. And that was the Maid of Argyll, the Maid of Skelmerley, the Maid of Ashton, Maid of Argyll, Maid of Skelmerley, Maid of Ashton, and Maid of Cumbria. The Cumbria being the islands with Milport on Great Cumbria. I tell you, so there's plenty of piers. Helensburgh, lovely pier. Huge pier at Craigendoran, where the railway boats used to overnight. So we had no shortage of piers. There used to be a massive pier at Dumbarton on Dumbarton Rock. So it came out from Dumbarton Rock, a great big long pier. Yeah, probably have put Blackpool to shame. So there we are. Not like the piers down in England. I'm talking like with bars and restaurants and arcades. No, we haven't gone in for that. But do they have calls from the steamships? You see, that's the other thing. Or was it more somewhere for leisure time? So there we go. CTXJ, we'll have to take that comment out because that's not really appropriate. Well, I'll just remove that. I won't ban you, but you'll get the measure of it. Because I think you've just joined us for the first time, and it'll take you a wee bit of getting used to. We always have to watch that standards don't fall just with one person that might be a swearer or have a potty mouth. That then you think, no, 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 we must keep our standards up. There's too many. Oh, sorry, because I swore. Yes, CTXJ. And also, we don't really criticize in that way. I am sorry. No, you're fine. There's SP, Dinky-Doo, old boy. Do you miss your time on the air? Well, do you know, SP, I was on the air for about 40 years. And even what I'm doing now is not that different. And I don't think, I was talking to somebody and he said, oh, your career, Scottie, is outstanding. I've had my ups and downs. But he said, your career's been absolutely outstanding. And I said, do you think so? And he went, most people, a career in the media, 8 years, 10 years. And I said, oh, well, no, I've been 40 years this year since we joined ITV. Dinky-Doo is better than the S word. Always. Dinky-Doo. Yes, indeed. Hang on to your Dinky-Doo. Can I have a shout out? Yes, you can. No problem at all. Scottie used to love you on the radio in the late 90s. Love you loads. Thank you, Liam. Dinky-Doo, I say. When we had to cut off the dafties. And there were plenty of them. How many castles got wrecked by Scots in England? No castles got wrecked by Scott. Well, no, that's not strictly true. The Scots nobles did fight each other, and that did not help our case when we were getting nabbed for a few quid by England. I think Queen Anne got Scotland for a total of about 2.5 grand. But there was a lot of corruption, a lot of bribery, a lot of jiggery-pokery. I mean, Queen Anne was quite a dodgy old girl, I can tell you that for nothing. What's the origins of the famous Dinky-Doo? Nothing infamous, SB, famous. The origins of that, well, I came up with it. But I tell people it was the Emperor Zero in Roman times. Dinky-Doo, Dinky-Doo Zero. In Braveheart, they made out they invaded York. Was that true? Well, the Scots army got down as far as Carlisle, then Preston, and then Derby. Now, this is in the days of Bonnie Prince Charlie. They got to Derby, and they were about to press on to London. Now, it would have been a bit of a conflict, but somebody in England conned the Scots to thinking there was an army on the way. Had they marched on to London, they would have probably got King James II, the old pretender, on the throne. So there you are. So it's worth a thought, I tell you. And then Bonnie Prince Charlie would have taken over because Scotland took over the English crown, but they got a bit jealous about who should sit in the big gold seat. That's always been your problem. And there's nothing anti-Catholic about not having a Catholic king. We've had plenty of Catholic kings. The only thing is they don't want Britain to be run from Rome. And if you look at the background to Ireland, Ireland was very heavily in hock to the Catholic Church. Catholic Church helped themselves to all the goodies, and also Ireland was being run from Rome. You see, even although it's all local stuff, your local priests were like your local reps for Rome, a bit like Germany invading Russia. Well, I don't think it went terribly well, that invasion. Am I right? The Russian front in the Second World War. You see, Churchill actually wanted to go on and invade Russia after the Allies had conquered Germany, but he didn't get the backing, you know. And old Stalin was quite a slippery old boy, as well as being highly dangerous. Great ancient Ireland is a sacred place. Well, of course, the home of Christianity. And St. Columba, he was in his cell, not home alone, he was just in his cell. And they set him a sea in a coracle, which is basically just an animal skin stretched over, I think it's hazel wood. So that poor soul would have been desperately ill, scared to bits, scared stiff, frightened, very, very, very seasick. And then he got flung up on Iona. And to this day, Iona, the home of Christianity. So Scotland is the home of Christianity. So that's why you get pilgrims. And you've got the Pilgrims Road leading to Canterbury. But Canterbury was much later. So there you go. I'm half Irish and half Scottish. Emerald, what a wonderful pedigree. Which half? A bit of a mix of family bloodline. What is Emerald? Tell us more. My father's from Edinburgh, the ferry in those years from South Africa. Speak for yourself and Trump. I don't love him. Well, you need to learn to love him, Louise, because he is a fabulous, fabulous character, and he'll get rid of a lot of corruption. Just you watch the baddies and the evils running for their lives. You should love everyone. Well, we do CTXJ, but some people don't always love us back. You see what I mean? But yes, that should be the message that we teach. There we go. Are you pro-Union, Scottie? Well, I'm pro-Scotland. And Scotland, there's no case for Scotland being in that union. So Scotland's been robbed blind for 300 and, what is it now? 317 years. 318 years. Have I got that right? Scotland's been robbed blind for 318 years. And, you know, it's supposed to be a union of equals. So it needs some titivating at the edges. It needs some adjusting. So if we're a union of equals, why do we give all of our income to Westminster? Why doesn't Westminster give all of its income to Scotland? You see? So we need to sort all that out. The famous 10 Commandments were reduced to 2. When my brother Jesus was here, I call them famous, but most people couldn't name them. And some say there are not just 10, but anyway, Jesus himself. Well, the commandments were they predated Jesus, if you think about it. So there we are. So what were the 2? Faith in the Father. I tell you, love thy neighbor. So 2, faith in the Father and love thy neighbor as thyself. So that doesn't mean it's wrong to love yourself. Yes, he elevated the law. Absolutely. For me, Ireland is up there with one of the best countries in the world, with the history it's got. Yes. The only problem was some of the Irish people themselves fighting away because they got bored. Bagpipes were played at my father's funeral. Emerald, the bagpipes are actually Irish. They're known as the Irish war pipe. So the bagpipes are not the instrument of Scotland. The instrument of Scotland is the fiddle, the violin, the Scottish fiddle. Going right back, beautiful tunes. Hi, Scottie, it's Jerry #1 van driver. Cat's away to the hydro to see Cindy Lauper. I'm going to pick her up later. How fantastic, Jerry. How are you, La? I think we should be told. The fiddle, that's right. And of course, the fiddle's very big in Ireland as well, and the Irish harp. Yeah, but we have two very famous harps in Scotland. You have Queen Mary's harp, and you have the Lamont harp. So there you are. So very famous old harps in Scotland, I tell you. I thought I tune. Okay, tune in. Yes, indeed. Absolutely. I love Cindy Lauper. She's amazing. Please tell her Craig Template loves her. Right, we shall do that, CTXJ. So there you go. So I think, Musgla, does that answer your question? I'm studying physics at National 5. We love it. Did you see the Van de Graaff? Yes, have a look, guys, for the Van de Graaff video. I put it up last night. I think that video could go viral. What it is, I'm standing with my hand on the Van de Graaff. I was still touching, so it didn't work right away. And they'd put little foil cups for cakes on my head, and they were all flying off. Have you seen it? I'll show you. Scottie, are your buttons available? The button key box, Emerald. Yes, we've got it here. And you've got the McClue scarf. The McClue scarf is here, Jerry. We have the McClue scarf. Wait till I see. I think we have it here. And as a mark of respect for you and the cat, it shall go on. The heart does go on. The scarf does go on. The scarf does go on. How's about that, Jerry, my boy? I was bored earlier and Googled who's Scotland's richest person. And they said it's a Danish fashion tycoon. Can't recall his name. But I think he must live here. Well, Scotland's richest person is me, Scottie McClue. I might not have a lot of money, but my goodness, am I rich, because I get to talk to you guys. So I think we could change that. I do feel sorry for, I mean, I know a lot of people who are very, very, very wealthy in terms of having a lot of money, and some of them are poor souls. No names, no pack drill, because they tell me stuff in confidence, and I say, you do realize you'll never hear this back. And they say, thank you, Scottie, I appreciate it. And they tell me their troubles, and you'd be amazed. You're rich in heart, Scottie. Oh, Amy, very. Your spirit's very rich, Scottie. Emerald, my spirit is falling down with wealth. And I have a wealth of experience. Humbly, very humbly. True wealth has nothing to do with man-made money. Quite right, CTXJ. Do you know what true wealth actually is? Do you know the answer to that? Guys, does anybody know the answer to what true wealth actually is? We need a phone caller from America. We do. America, why are you not hitting the +44 and dialing 0141 628 9795 and coming on live to Scottie McClue on the phone, telling us all about America? We'd love that. So you hit the 44, I think, is it 0044 from America? 0141 628 9795. There we go. Somebody will call. I tell you, Jenny, with your permission, I'm going to take my scarf off because it's so comfy and warm. Whew! I'm falling down with heat. There we go. I've got my bonnet on and my big jumper. I tell you, I think an American would drop the 0 but use the +44. Right, so hey, we love it. Thank you. I had to phone France last week, and I think it was 0033 I got. So there we go. half Scottish and half Irish, but both sides of my heritage. I'm also very rich in spirit. Well, Emerald, with a pedigree like that, you're going to be very, very, very rich indeed. So there you go. Um, Now, who else have we got here? Gonna get a shout out? Yes, you can, Connor. Religion used by the many controlling the few. Well, it depends on Luke Demer if you allow yourself to be controlled. Hello, Scotty. Hopes all is well. From Balach, Damien. We love you in Balach. Hello there from Missouri in the USA. I hope to visit Scotland someday. Snuggles, you should phone us from Missouri. There's the number. You drop the zero. You just 44141 6289795. Was that what you meant? Topsy here and said drop the zero. So no zero before the 44 and no zero before the 141. 44141 6289795. And we could be chatting to Snuggles from Missouri. I tell you, no zero before the 44. Right, good one, Tops. Absolutely. Now, Tops, I know you'll have been absolutely champing at the bit. If you do want to give us a call, please feel free to do so. It's your old cell, DINKY-DOO, says Beachy. Love you, Scotty. Scotty, a shout out, please. Yes, indeed, shout out for Liam. Can my friend Veronica get a shout out? It's her birthday, Courtney. Of course she can. There we go. Ken Dog, thank you. Whoa! I think we've got the Tops here. You're live on Scotty's phone in. Who's that?
Hello, Scotty. It's Topsy, of course.
You were being very mannered. You're such a cultured guy. And you obviously thought, no, I can't. I'll have to hold on. And then you thought, nobody's phoning him.
I was being coy, Scotty. I was being coy.
Of course.
There's two things, and for once they're actually on topic. First of all, I am so for sale to America. I want to take the Yankee dollar, man. I want to take the Yankee dollar.
I mean, just think about it. You see, I was brought up, as you know, in Greenock and Gourock. And at that time, the American Polaris boats were based in the Holy Loch. And you know, because I've told you before, I used to crew the boats and we went over to pick up the sailors. Now, this added tremendous income to the economy of what's now Inverclyde and what's Argyll and Bute. So the Americans, we used to say, oh, you do well with the Yanks, you know, and all that. And the shops would moan and go, everyone says you do well with the Yanks. You don't really, but they did. And all the pubs were boom time, of course, when it was leave. And the shore patrol, who had battens down to their ankles from their waist, used to go touring the pubs and pulling on there. And there was a guy staggering about with fuel one night. You know, he had too much refreshment. And I remember my uncle saying, whoa, if the shore patrol get him. And I think they just, you know, flung them in the back of the truck on the way back to the boat. But because they would have to get out to the boat by another Liberty boat, do you know what I mean? And they'd probably called in, I don't know where they called in, maybe Arnadam or maybe Dunoon Pier. I can't quite remember that bit. But they would come in for the Holy Loch. So I experienced the dollar. And I can remember an American showing me he'd got his duty-free tobacco and it was like 2 ounces or something. Can you believe this? All that tobacco for 1 and 3p.
Well, I might confess some criminality to you here, Scotty. Back in the 80s, I remember an article in the local press in Scotland and Glasgow, and it was a problem because Americans were using quarters in the local British Telecom phone boxes.
Wow.
And so they were getting absolutely stuffed with quarters. But the thing is, they were the same weight to trigger the mechanism as a 5p piece. Now, 5p is a lot less than a quarter, even back then. So shortly thereafter, I was taken on a trip to California, to Disneyland, and they had a wonderful arcade, you know, for arcade games. So what I did was I got £20 worth of 5p pieces, so I could return the favour by using them instead of quarters in the arcade machine.
You're a man and a half. You really are.
The thing is, I played one particular arcade game. It was based on the film Tron, and there are lots of these machines in Disneyland, and the Starcade, they called it. And so I spent hours just pumping 5p pieces into this instead of quarters, right? So saving a lot of money here. And then we were there for 2 days. And so the next morning I came in and I went to the Tron machine. And so I played pumping it for 5p pieces. And as soon as I finished, a guy in a uniform with a keychain, like proper, don't mess with it. You don't see, he wasn't Mickey Mouse, right? And he went right up to the machine, and I absolutely, oh man, I ran all the way from Tomorrowland to Frontierland. That's what the cowboy landed as if I could hide out in the mountains.
I think it's very interesting, the philosophy of playing a slot machine. It doesn't do anything for me. I have put the odd, shilling in and just watched it and held my plums and all that. But but to be honest with you, it doesn't do anything for me. But I've seen people go to the pub on a Saturday night and bring a tenner's worth of 10p's.
Yeah, no, I don't have any time for puggies, traditional gambling slot machines.
Yes. General Sop.
Oh, General Sop, here we go. That one had a spot, Scotty. That hit the spot. No, I don't like puggies. I've been to Las Vegas several times, and I hate it because the thrill of winning money is not equaled by the horror of losing it.
No, it's dreadful.
So I've never used puggies, but these are old arcade games, like your Pac-Mans and stuff like that.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, these big machines. I've actually got a friend that repairs them because they're very popular.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Do you remember they had the kind of Formica type finish? And it was a big thing. And of course, it's bright lights. See, if you look at most of our places in Scotland, people used to close up at 5 o'clock. So that was your shop, Scott. The sweetie shop was open till about 8, right?
Yeah.
The cafe was open till 9. So you had stuff like that. The chippy was open till I think 10. Or maybe it was 9. I can't remember. But after that, the place went dark. And if you think a pub usually had some bright lights outside it, with a, shining on the sign, the ferret and laptop, and you went in and it was brightly lit inside as well. Sorry.
When I was a kid, I remember being very young, and you would pass by proper boozers, you'd be with my mum, going past, and I would love the smell
of beer,
stale alcohol, and
stale alcohol and fags coming out, and they put the fans on. I mean, the place you couldn't see across the room, and then they had big fans on. And if you went in with a woman, there were pubs in Glasgow, and they said this is for men only. And I said, how do you enforce that? He went, well, we don't have a women's toilet.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Do you remember?
Bookies, as I've mentioned a couple of times, I was a private investigator for many years, and one of the things you need when you're a PI is a toilet.
Yes, of course. A friendly place to call in.
So the bookies are always good. But I remember even this was being about 2003, 2004, and there were still bookies in some of the places I had to work that did not have a women's toilet.
I know. I used to feel sorry for the police. I thought, where do they go when they have to answer a call of nature?
Well, there's actually a trick. I learned this from surveillance cops. This is. I'm not lowering the tone. This is
no. This is just a fact of life.
A gentleman can use both doors for cover of a 4-door car. So you open both doors, and you can. It's wise if you can open the boot as well, because it looks as if you're doing something really important.
Changing a tire.
and you use the two doors for cover, and I can testify, Scottie, that you can relieve yourself virtually anywhere using that tactic. That's an old copper's trick that I learned off
How very interesting, yes, because it's a strange one, and I don't know if there was a lure in the Polish boxes. I can remember one night, I've never seen rain like it. You know, when almost the orange street lights are obscured with the rain coming down. And there was two policemen with their bonnets on with the chin straps down and the peak caps and the collars right up, standing on this. And I said to my flatmate, I said, these poor boys, I said, should I invite them up for a cup of tea? And he says to me, he goes like this, Tubbs, you'll love this one. He goes, would you give them a dram? And I said, oh, no, not when they're on duty. He went, well, that's what they'd probably be looking for.
Well, listen, I'll wrap this up just with one last story.
It's lovely to hear you, though. And listen, I've not had a single complaint. Normally, if you get a caller who's a regular, who goes on a lot, people go, oh, God, we're not going to have that again. Never a word about your good self, except I'm enjoying that Tupsway guy.
That's very gratifying. Just very, my last thing, and then I'll go, because it's on topic what we were just discussing there. My very first day doing surveillance, now I had never been a cop or I'd never even a Boy Scout, and suddenly I'm a professional private investigator. And I was the van man, so that's when you start off as. You're in the back of a van for a minimum of 8 hours with blacked out windows, just keeping your eyes on a door. That's your job. And then over the radio, you tell them if the guy comes out, and then the other guy, your partner who's driving the car, picks him up. You know, but so you're in there for a minimum of 8 hours, and they told me just on my first day, I'm actually there. Oh, you'll need a milk bottle, right? And it's like, what's that for? Oh, because you're going to be in there for 8 hours. But they didn't tell me that I should get a 2-litre one. So I got a little 1 litre. I'll tell you, that was the most uncomfortable 8 hours of my
life. Nothing worse. There's nothing worse. You know, it really is. And it's not a lot to ask, you know. I mean, there's certain towns and cities in the UK that I have visited, and I have seen them openly just use the street. And I thought, good Lord. Yeah, absolutely straight. What I was going to say, I'll leave you with this one. I don't wish to frighten you, but I heard a lovely story about a guy who was a PI, and he was involved in something fairly heavy, and suddenly these big guys appeared, put his arm up his back and put him over the bonnet of the car. And he said, I haven't done anything to upset the police. And this guy goes, who says we're police?
That's chilling.
Isn't that chilling? And it wasn't crims.
Oh, who was it?
To get my meaning, it wasn't crims. Yeah, so I think the PI unknowingly and unwittingly could maybe have interfered with an ongoing operation.
Well, that's the thing. You're supposed to, but you actually don't tell the local cops because they are leaky as a sieve.
Well, no, the problem is the local cops could you know, get it wrong as well.
Yeah, but it's too much of a risk that they'll know the guy that you're surveilling. So you are theoretically supposed to, but in practice, no PI actually tells the local cops.
Can you imagine that? Just sort of like half a dozen built like tanks. And he's over the bonnet with the arm up the back. And he goes, I've never done anything to upset the police. And he went, who says we're police?
Okay, just dead quick, right? I knew a guy in Canada. When I lived in Canada, he had visited a relative in Glasgow just 6 months before I met him in Montreal. And he was like your classic hippie. He was like Jeff Bridges in The Big Lebowski, right? And he had been in Glasgow, and they got stopped on the street in the middle of the night, and they were very drunk. And this car came and stopped, and two guys in plain clothes came out and said, all right, lads, CID. Now, this guy from Canada thought, I want to see identification.
Oh, CID.
But this Canadian guy who was as peaceful as you like, he went into his pocket for his identification. The cop thought that he was going for a weapon and absolutely slammed him onto the bonnet. And this guy's like, "Hey man, what are you doing, man?"
Oh, it's crazy stuff. We live in dangerous times, and I think really it's a hands-up job. You know?
Oh, yeah.
What I've noticed, Tups, is that, you know, why do they do all the screaming and shouting? So why do you go into a house and shout, police? Why don't they just go into a house and say, hello, it's the police?
Hey, listen, I've got another cracking ex-cop story, but I'll save that for the next time.
Listen, they love you.
It's an absolute brilliant one about a bus. I was lucky to get access to all these fantastic cops, so I'll save it for the next time. Though.
Absolutely, DINKY-DOO.
Take care, Scotty. See ya.
Ta-ra! There we are. Tups are here. Excellent call, of course, as always. And everybody loves that guy when he comes on. Amazing. Now, what am I doing here? Hang on. Right, what's everybody saying? I took up smoking as a political protest after the smoking ban was brought in, and I won't stop until freedom, true freedom, is returned. What makes you think you've not got freedom, CTXJ? I'm not running from any man. I stand for Christ. Let's get that straight. Well, you obviously feel a little bit apprehensive. You're telling me you don't run and you're into freedom and all this stuff, but you sound a very worried guy. Money has no value until you spend it, correct? So there were bus drivers and taxi drivers use the pubs and cafes, says Amy. Right. Good call, Tups for here, says Susan. No nump to eat tonight, Susan. Sadly, no nump to eat, and we've only got about 2 or 3 minutes. I'll be seeing you all come the judgment day. Night, night, boys. Night, night, CTXJ. Well done. Cops are very dodgy, says John Doe. As a generalization, I think that's a bit unfair, John Doe, because you'd be delighted to see them if you were having a problem. I can tell you. So I think we need to go easy on our police. Ready for Ireland to beat you tomorrow, says Liam. Good evening, Scotty. Scotty, it would make my day for a wee shout out. Long-time fan. Shout out for you, Liam. Shout out my friend Veronica. Yes, we can do all that. There we go now. Who have we got here? 5 for Dundee, says Joshua. Llandudno Pier is brought. Well, yes, but the steamships used to call into Llandudno, the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company. They had beautiful big turbine steamers. The Manxman, the Lady of Man, the what else did we have in the big ones there? The Lady of Man, the Tinwald. And they still use these names because steamboat companies, you can't have a boat with the same name registered at the same time under Lloyd's. So once they've scrapped one of the older ones, the new one becomes Lady of Man. And I think the Lady of Man now is a car ferry, if I'm right. I'm busy stocking tonight, says Professor Numpty. You're just stalking me, are you, Numpty? All right. Oh, I think maybe you've put an S in front of it. I'm busy talking tonight. That's better. Good night, Scotty. You sleep well. Night, night, Susan. You sleep well, my darling. Right. I've got to go, guys. This has just been so beautiful. Are you ready? Blackpool North Pier is the longest and oldest, says Blackpool Radio Dab. We love it. Thank you. Lovely to have you on. Right. Stick out your tongue and say ta-ta. Are we ready? Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Take care, everybody, as you go. Goodbye, everybody. Auf Wiedersehen. Au revoir. And cheerio. Get following, get subscribing, get sharing, get talking. And I'll see you all tonight, God willing, weather permitting, next week at the same time. See you all next week, I should say. And good night, everybody. A big dinky-doo to every single one of you. Stick out your tongue and say ta-ta, ta-ta. Lovely, lovely people. Ta-ta. Ta-ta.